I have a memory of being in a car late at night with my husband driving across country and looking for a spot to camp late at night. It was maybe 5 years ago. We were somewhere between Missouri and California, coming from North Carolina and having gone through Overland Park, Kansas and Ogden, Utah that afternoon, somewhere where it was a vast amount of flat, dry land with desert bush. Pulling off of the highway and down an unmarked dirt road that seemed to go at least for 2 to 3 miles. We came to a parking lot on our right, and some feet ahead there was a fence marked "No Trespassing" and a sign that says "Space Observation" and showed a military logo. I don't remember which part of the military it showed, but I remember thinking it was strange to see it partnered with space observation, perhaps Army or Navy. Though I was scared of getting in trouble or worse, my husband pulled into the parking lot, which was relatively small and elongated. My husband pulled to the left far end of the parking lot and stopped the car. There was a fenced-off entrance with a path that looked a bit like train tracks leading past another fence and up a small slope where a single-story small building was sitting next to a huge rocket. On the end of the parking lot directly opposite of us, a black car with shaded windows was sitting. When we pulled in, I didn't notice anyone, but after arguing about leaving with my husband for a second, I saw a man suddenly sitting in the back of the driver's side of the vehicle. The front door on the same side was slightly ajar and the back door was wide open. And the guy was sitting and staring forward before he met eyes. He was only maybe 15 to 20 feet from us. His skin seemed a strange pink color in the street lamp glow. His cheeks were very angular and higher up than most people I've seen, and his eyes were darker and a lot larger than any human, but not so large that you would notice them if you quickly glanced past them in a crowd. When he looked up at me, my whole body felt like it was struck by lightning. My heartbeat sped, my eyes watered. I began hyperventilating and scrambling and ranting at my husband to get the hell out of here, now! My husband saw the car, but not the man right in front of us. He shrugged me off and proposed seriously that we should explore. He liked to explore places that seemed a little scary, as I did, but he was a conspiracy theorist with a deep distrust, a deep hate even, of the military and government. The fact that he proposed this was maybe not so out of character if there wasn't a literal person right there, but this situation meant that proposal is wildly out of character for him. I have military in my family and pride myself on being a skeptic who likes to put facts where my mouth is. So do you think my spouse will see my reaction as a huge reason to leave, as it was also out of character for me? My husband seemed to not see the man, though he was sitting directly across from us, and he tried to lightheartedly argue his case for the reason why we should just check out the facility. He began to try to get me out of the car, and I grabbed him hard and began to hysterically cry and beg to leave. He laughed at how ridiculous he thought I was being. Aside from the other car and rocket, the place seemed like it was abandoned. Eventually, he had no choice but to relent and began pulling out at what I painstakingly remember as incredibly slow speed. As we were turning onto the dirt road, the man got out of the vehicle and stood up, keeping his eyes locked with mine almost the entire event. I remember he was wearing a white t-shirt and what looked like cargo shorts, but my memory can be slightly off by now. I've tried to forget about this, and I tried to come up with reasons this was less than what I thought it was. But recently a friend was sprouting some conspiracy hogwash that reminded me of this story. Pushing it out of my head for so long, I'm struggling to find the area we were at. Turning up no good results, searching bases belonging to the military tasked with space observation or research. I can't find a long road with the fence and a parking lot with a track-like path and a rocket next to the small facility. I've considered this a secret base, but I've run out of ideas to figure out where to find names of secret bases in the area. I want to find this area so I could see if anyone else had this or a similar experience in the same place. Some facts I remembered after posting. The man had mid-length black hair and incredibly sharp brow bone. The longer road may have been unpaved or well-traveled dirt road. There was a town close by. I remember seeing the first street and driving over a railroad track afterwards. The largest sign was the one at the beginning of the right turn into the short paved way up to the fence and parking lot. It was brown, I'm pretty sure, or another dark color. It specified space and another word like observation or research. The military branch name on the big sign was one that I thought was uncommon to be a branch with duties regarding space. But then again, it may have been a Navy or Army. The gate directly ahead of the paved way was closed with a small sign on it that said, "No trespassing." The entrance in the parking lot looked to be made of concrete with the roof above it and a space for a guard to mind the gate, and it was more open on the other side, sort of like a light rail or car train platform. The path of tracks below or behind the platform led a very short distance and stopped many feet before the rocket area. The rocket was on a paved area directly to the right of the facility, possibly a little behind it. When asking my late husband about it, he always shrugged it off and he claimed he didn't remember seeing anything and was forever disappointed I didn't let him explore. Now, if I said that he was right in front of a guy, he would have got a little upset and called my sanity in question. For this reason, I didn't talk about it for years. This had to be one of the most scariest, most rationality-defying experiences I've ever had. I still get chills and butterflies when I think about it. Back when I was 5 or 6 years old in the mid-80s, we lived in Rutland County, Vermont. There was a marshy area behind our house separated by a small wooded area. I remember almost every night for about a couple of weeks waking up to strange lights in the wooded area behind the house. My room was on the second floor of the house facing the rear towards the wooded area, and I could just see the edge of the marshy area through the trees during the day. My parents' room was directly across the hall facing the front of the house. I remember going into my parents' room and telling them about the lights, but my mom would always send me back to bed without checking. I've gotten so scared that I would hide under my bed when the lights were happening. Around this time, I started seeing small bipedal creatures that would stand about 2.5 feet tall with large black eyes coming out of the woods and trying to get into the house. When I told my parents about them, they would say that I was just having bad dreams and not to worry. Almost every night after seeing the lights, they'd come out of the marshy wooded area and try to get into the house. I'd just hide under the bed, too scared to do anything else. Eventually the lights stopped, and they stopped coming out of the woods. My parents still think that I was having recurring nightmares. This is the one strange story that my father would tell. As a kid, it terrified me, and even today it gives me the chills. He would drive from New York up to Canada back and forth because he was from Quebec and he spoke French. He had a big 18-wheeler with a bunk in the back of the cab, so he would usually just sleep in the back of the truck on the side of the road. One night, he pulled over and went into the bunk, and while drifting off to sleep, he can hear footsteps in the gravel coming towards the truck. He dismissed it as an animal because he was in the middle of nowhere. The footsteps went all the way along the side of the truck, behind the truck, and back up the other side. Kind of suspicious. Then something tried to open the door handle, so he knew it wasn't an animal. That's when he got very scared. Whatever it was moved in the front of the truck and stopped. It didn't just walk away. It stopped right there in that specific spot. So my father looked out in front of the truck and he could see a figure standing about 10 feet in front of the truck. So he suddenly turned on the headlights, and apparently there was some kind of humanoid man creature standing in front of him. My father said that it was basically covered with hair and even a matted beard, or whatever it was also had reflective eyes and hair on his hands and feet. But he said it was wearing a coat and hat. My dad got so scared and blew the big truck horn at it, and suddenly the guy or whatever it was got on all four and ran off into the forest on all four like an animal. He always said it was kind of a Bigfoot, but now that I think back on it, I think he met a feral human, or in French culture, a loup-garou. He rented a hotel after that. Good evening, everyone. This is Yuri K, and this is the end of the video. Please leave a comment and let us know your opinions on the matter. If you happen to like this content, please check out our other videos. Make sure you like and share amongst your friends and family to help our community grow. You happen to be new to this channel? Please make sure you subscribe. It's free, and you can always change it in the future. You have some terrifying story suggestions? If so, make sure that you send it to my email. fearofthedarkstories@gmail.com, and I'll feature it in a future segment. But you guys stay safe out there, and remember to always be afraid of the dark.